Hi and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be doing something very different. I am going to create swatches of my Winsor and Newton designer's gouache. So I've collected these gouache tubes over the last 3 years from various online and offline stores, and I absolutely love them. So my first set was a set of 10 colors, and after that I started picking out colors individually on the basis of what I like and what I needed. And so overall I've collected about 18 tubes, I think, so far. So I feel like it's the perfect time to now start swatching them. So I've got a good nice swatch book in which I have decided that I want to create the swatches of all of the colors that I own with gouache, watercolors, and even acrylics if I can. And it'll make it very easy for me when I make a painting to just pick out the colors that I want by looking at these. So let's start swatching. I've written down all of the colors that I have on this sheet. I am not going to swatch the white because I think that's not needed, and I'm going to start swatching the colors one by one. So I'm going to do this Winsor and Newton gouache in two ways. Gouache is generally very solid, it's very opaque in its style, but I feel like I want to use it in two ways because I love the brightness of the colors which is there, and sometimes I like to use it a little lighter, wherein I add a little more water. So I feel like I like the range of the colors that it shows. So that's why I'm swatching it in this way. It's not necessary for you to swatch it in the same way. You could just have like solid boxes when it comes to gouache and create the colors in that style. Sometimes what happens is when these tubes are just kept inside my art drawer, I don't really tend to pick these colors out and use them. So that's why I feel like it's very good to have a swatch book like this, because then it helps me to understand what colors would go perfectly well in my painting. So I like mixing different brands. I like using Winsor and Newton gouache. I also have Shinhan, which I think is the next best thing to Winsor and Newton, and then there's Bristro, which I'm not a big fan of, but if I have to do like practice work, then it's still okay. So it's nice to have a good variety of colors with you to understand what works for you and what doesn't work. Especially I think with gouache, it's nice to have different colors in your tubes because not all of them are going to be that nice when you mix and create them. Like I think something like a turquoise blue is beautiful, or like a teal is really nice, and that helps you to create very good artworks. So after my first four swatches, I started creating the solid colors of gouache in the actual way of using them because they are best used in that format. So you can see the difference in the color quality when it is watered down and when it is solid. I absolutely love it when it's solid, and so I decided to switch my swatch styles in that way. So another thing I've noticed is even though some of the tubes are like 3 years old, which means their manufacturing might have been even older than that, but I don't really see so much of a color difference or an issue even with the tubes. In some brands, it gets very difficult for me to open them. Over time, the colors inside solidify and it completely goes waste. But with Winsor & Newton, I have not faced the problem like that so far, and I'm really happy about that. You also pay a lot of premium amount for these paints, and it's because the pigment is pretty strong. It's very good. The light fastness is very good. It's very opaque. In fact, like one tube would go a long way. I do a lot of paintings in gouache, and these tubes have been with me for over 3 years, and it looks like they all look brand new. There are just like one or two which look like a lot of color has been squeezed out of them, and that's something that I really respect about some premium brands. If you are paying a high price for it, it gives you the value or the worth that comes along with it. Colors like magenta, the light purple, these are not part of any of the set that I had bought. In fact, I would recommend you to not buy a set and just pick out colors randomly like this. So the first way that you can start out by picking out colors is get your primary colors and a white and a black, and then keep adding one color to your collection. One of my favorite colors is the permanent yellow, and I really like the orange lake right and also the Naples yellow. So I've not used Naples yellow much in gouache. I use it a lot more in watercolors, which is why I wanted to get the gouache version of it to understand how I can use this in my paintings. Turquoise blue is a recent addition to my collection and I absolutely love this color. You can see how opaque it is and it's such a pretty color which is there on the screen as well. So another way that I love using turquoise is not directly. I like mixing a little bit of white with it and I love the shade or the pastel shade basically that comes with it. So that I think that is really nice. The primary blue of Winsor and Newton is very good. It is a very beautiful blue color. So that's something that I really like. I also like the spectrum red very much than the primary red. I feel like somewhere the primary red looks a little pinkish. So the spectrum red is the one that I enjoy using a lot more. Ultramarine is also a nice color and so is the olive green, which I will be swatching out last. Another interesting thing I've noticed right now, in fact, while creating the swatch, is the burnt sienna is not very strong and it's a nice earthy shade. It's not too dark, it's not too dull. So that's something which is very interesting because if you're going to be creating an entire color palette, it's easy for you to pick out these colors. For me, I've just put these colors out pretty random. You can also divide it on the basis of like warm colors in one side, cool colors in one side, and create the swatches in your swatch book like this in the way that you like. I hope this inspires you to create your own swatch book and make sure that you use all the art supplies that you have. I'll see you soon for the next video. Bye bye.